Have you ever stood in the middle of your own life, surrounded by everything you're supposed to want, success, connection, comfort, and felt an unexpected chill? A quiet whisper in the back of your mind that asks, is this all there is? It's a paradox, isn't it? In a world more connected than ever, we often find ourselves feeling profoundly alone. Not just physically solitary, but a deep spiritual isolation, as if an invisible wall has risen between us and the very essence of life. We chase happiness like a horizon, always just out of reach. We meticulously build our lives, brick by brick, from careers to relationships, hoping each addition will finally fill that persistent, aching void within. But sometimes, despite all our efforts, all our striving, all our meticulously curated external realities, we find ourselves adrift. Lost not in a geographical sense, but lost within the labyrinth of our own minds, caught in loops of anxiety, dissatisfaction, and a gnawing sense that we're somehow stuck. This isn't just about feeling lonely on a Friday night. This is about the profound existential ache that whispers, do I truly belong? Does my presence even matter in a world that feels colder by the day, despite its dazzling promises? It's the silent burden carried by so many. The deep confusion when the map you've been given for life seems to lead nowhere but back to this same perplexing emptiness. It's the unsettling truth that sometimes the very things designed to bring us closer to joy paradoxically push us further into a state of profound internal isolation. What if the very fabric of our understanding, the lens through which we view connection, belonging, and happiness, is fundamentally flawed? What if the peace we relentlessly chase outside ourselves has been waiting, patiently, in the very silence we try to escape? And what if this feeling of being lost and alone isn't a punishment or a flaw in your design, but the most profound invitation you will ever receive? The quiet hum of the American dream often promises fulfillment. We're told to chase, to acquire, to climb. From our earliest days, the narrative is clear. Accumulate more, achieve more, be more, and happiness will surely follow. We meticulously build lives that, on the surface, shine with the gleam of success, demanding careers, sprawling homes, curated social circles, and endless streams of digital validation. We've mastered the art of filling our schedules, our homes, our very identities, with the relentless pursuit of what the world tells us we need. Yet, amidst this abundant accumulation, how many of us have found ourselves standing at the well of our own lives, only to realize it feels empty? It's a feeling that creeps in, often uninvited, during the quiet moments. Perhaps it's late at night, when the last notification has chimed, and the noise of the day finally recedes. Or maybe it's during a morning commute, caught in the rhythm of routine, when a sudden chilling question surfaces. Is this all there is? It's not about lacking material possessions. It's a profound internal ache, a sense that something vital, something true is missing. This emptiness isn't always a dramatic breakdown. Often it's a subtle dissonance, a persistent whisper that despite all our efforts, all our striving, all our carefully constructed external realities, we are not truly full. It's the suffering, dukkha, born not from explicit pain, but from the inherent dissatisfaction that arises when we mistakenly believe external conditions can provide lasting inner peace. We pour our energy into making the surface look perfect, only to find the depths remain parched. This is the misperception, avidya, that drives our endless seeking. The belief that if we just find the right thing, the right person, the right status, this internal void will finally be quenched. We become adept at performing fullness. We scroll through curated lives on social media, seeing smiles and celebrations, and the subtle lie takes root. Everyone else has it figured out. Everyone else feels connected, content, complete. This attachment, upadana, to external validation and comparison amplifies our inner emptiness. We try to patch the void with momentary distractions, another online purchase, another binge watch, another fleeting compliment. But these are mere band-aids on a deeper wound. The silence eventually returns, and with it, the undeniable truth that the well remains stubbornly dry. This feeling, this unshakable sense of inadequacy, can leave us wondering, am I doing something wrong? Am I broken? Why can't I feel truly satisfied when I have so much? We might even feel a profound injustice, not in the legal sense, but an existential unfairness, as if life has promised a fulfillment it refuses to deliver, despite our best efforts. This isn't a flaw in you. This isn't a sign of failure. It is, in fact, a universal human experience, a profound and ancient invitation. What if this very emptiness we fear, this pervasive sense of not enough, is not a sign of failure, but an ancient call? What if, instead of desperately trying to fill what feels hollow, we could learn to see this perceived void through a different lens? What if the path to true belonging, true peace, true understanding doesn't begin with acquiring, but with acknowledging, transforming, and ultimately transcending this profound sense of lack? This quiet ache, this persistent longing, is not a curse. It is the beginning of a sacred journey, a subtle knock at the door of a deeper wisdom. It is an invitation to look beyond the surface, to question the very nature of the well we've been trying so hard to fill. Imagine a place not so far from here, perhaps even within the quiet landscape of your own mind. In a small, sun-baked village nestled at the foot of rolling, ochre hills, lived a diligent farmer. His name was Thomas, and by all outward appearances, he was a man of success. His fields, watered by seasonal rains, yielded abundant harvests. His barn, meticulously maintained, was always full of grain, reflecting years of relentless labor and shrewd planning. He built his home with his own hands, stone by stone, a testament to his strength and determination. Yet, despite these tangible achievements, Thomas harbored a deep, unspoken anxiety, a quiet wound that no amount of success seemed to heal: his well. It stood at the edge of his property, a deep, circular shaft, a monument to a persistent, gnawing failure. Year after year, season after season, despite Thomas's tireless efforts, the well remained stubbornly empty. He had tried everything. He dug deeper, his muscles aching with each shovel of earth, convinced that just a few more feet would surely reach the hidden spring. He'd lined its rough walls with layers of carefully mixed clay, hoping to seal any unseen cracks that might be letting the precious water slip away. He'd even consulted the village elders, performed ancient rites, and prayed to the rain gods under the vast, indifferent sky. But the well, a gaping maw in the earth, refused to hold water. This empty well became a relentless mirror, reflecting Thomas's deepest fears and his sense of inadequacy. Each morning, as the sun climbed, casting long shadows across his verdant fields, the well's dry throat seemed to mock his triumphs. People would visit, admiring his crops, praising his sturdy barn, but their eyes would always, inevitably, drift to the well. Their expressions, though often sympathetic, carried a hint of pity, a quiet understanding of his unspoken burden. And with each glance, Thomas felt a renewed surge of shame. He believed, with every fiber of his being, that his worth as a farmer, as a man, was inextricably tied to that well. If he couldn't even fill a simple well, what did that say about him? This was his suffering, dukkha. Not the acute pain of hunger or war, but the insidious, pervasive ache of attachment, upadana, to a false idea. He was attached to the notion that a well must be full, that his life must be perfect, that he must be complete. He believed the world was judging him by this one visible, undeniable void, and in that belief he was trapped. This was his fundamental misperception, avidya, the distorted lens through which he viewed his own reality. He saw a problem to be fixed, a hole to be filled, rather than questioning the very nature of the hole itself. He poured more labor, more hope, more desperate effort into it, hoping to finally quench not just the well's thirst, but his own profound sense of not enough. He was tirelessly trying to accumulate water in a vessel that simply wasn't designed for it, and in doing so, he perpetuated his own cycle of disappointment. His relentless external efforts to fill his shame only deepened the very emptiness he was trying to escape. The endless cycle of digging and despair had settled over Thomas's life like the dust from the parched earth around his well. He saw his days as a testament to his struggle, a constant battle against a fundamental inadequacy he felt deep within. It was a silent, personal injustice, this well that refused to yield, a stark symbol of everything he believed he lacked. Then, one sweltering afternoon, a figure unlike any he had seen before appeared on the dusty path leading to his farm. It was an old monk, his robes simple and worn, his stride deliberate and unhurried. He carried no tools, no burdens, only a staff and a quiet air of profound stillness. The villagers, used to his occasional passing, paid him little mind. But Thomas, sitting by his empty well, felt a flicker of something he couldn't name. The monk paused, his gaze falling upon the farmer and then gently upon the well. He didn't offer advice, didn't ask questions about yields or rainfall. He simply observed. He watched Thomas's tired posture, the lines etched by worry around his eyes, the way his gaze lingered on the dry shaft. He saw not a well, but the reflection of a man's deepest attachments, to an idea of perfection, to a belief in external validation, to the exhausting struggle against what he perceived as a fatal flaw. The monk's presence was like a soft breeze in a suffocating silence. He spent hours just being, a living embodiment of peace amidst Thomas's frantic striving. Finally, as the sun began to dip, painting the hills in hues of orange and violet, the monk approached Thomas. His eyes, deep and clear, held no judgment, only a vast, encompassing compassion. His voice, when he spoke, was not a booming pronouncement, but a quiet stream, a gentle murmur that cut through the farmer's inner turmoil. "My friend," the monk began, his gaze steady, "you are trying to fill a well that was never meant to hold water. This is not a well, but a conduit." The words hung in the air, simple yet shattering. Thomas felt a jolt, as if the very ground beneath him had shifted. A conduit. For years, his entire identity had been wrapped around the idea of a well as a container, a vessel that must be full to be worthy. This had been his fundamental misperception, avidya, the obscured vision that fueled his endless toil and sorrow. He had equated fullness with worth, emptiness with failure. Every teaching, every societal expectation, every personal desire had reinforced this false understanding. The monk wasn't denying Thomas's pain or the reality of the well's dry state. He was simply offering a radical reframe, a shift in perspective, so profound it felt like looking at the world for the very first time. He wasn't suggesting Thomas dig deeper or try harder. He was inviting him to question the very nature of what he was doing. It was a moment of profound clarity, born not from finding a solution, but from questioning the problem itself. It was the Brian Stevenson moment of what if everything we believe about this is wrong. This was the truth that the Buddha himself sought under the Bodhi tree. He didn't find enlightenment by filling himself with more knowledge or more pleasures. He found it by seeing suffering, dukkha, not as a personal curse, but as an inherent aspect of existence, and by understanding its root cause, attachment and craving. He understood that the insatiable desire to fill ourselves, to hold on to things, to prevent impermanence and nikka from touching us, is what perpetuates our suffering. The Buddha didn't run from his own empty wells of dissatisfaction. He sat with them, observed them, and through that profound observation he saw their true nature. He realized that peace came not from acquiring, but from understanding the nature of what is, and letting go of what isn't. The monk's words to Thomas were an echo of this ancient wisdom. Your well is not a testament to your lack, but to a different design. Its perceived emptiness is simply its true nature awaiting your recognition. It was an invitation to release the attachment, upadana, to a concept that was causing endless misery, and to embrace a new, liberating truth. This wasn't about finding water. It was about understanding the purpose of the whole itself. And in that understanding lay the first glimmer of true peace, a profound release from the burden of chasing an illusion. The monk's words, "This is not a well, but a conduit," resonated in Thomas's mind, echoing long after the old man had walked away. It was a truth so simple, yet so profoundly unsettling, because it shattered the very foundation of his long-held misperception, avidya. For years, Thomas had believed his purpose was to accumulate, to contain, to fill. He had viewed his existence as a container that needed to be perpetually topped off to be valuable, to prove his worth. And his empty well had become the crushing symbol of his failure to achieve that. But a conduit does not hold, it flows. Its purpose is not to accumulate water within itself, but to channel it, to connect to a larger, unseen source, and to allow that vital current to pass through it, nourishing the land around it, supporting life in its journey downstream. The well's emptiness wasn't a flaw, it was its very design, its capacity to be a vessel for passage, not for possession. Its value lay not in what it kept, but in what it allowed to move through. This was the profound Buddhist insight into our own lives. Just like the farmer, we are often conditioned to believe our purpose is to accumulate happiness, to possess peace, to contain love. We are told through countless subtle messages in our modern world that our worth is measured by what we can gather and hold on to. A perfect career, a beautiful family, a vast network of friends, an abundance of possessions. We tirelessly try to fill our internal well with external things, titles, likes, achievements, fleeting pleasures, convinced that these will finally make us whole, banish the gnawing sense of suffering, dukkha, and affirm our sense of self. But the deep ache we feel, that persistent sense of not enough, is precisely because we are trying to force a conduit to act like a container. We are not meant to be static reservoirs, holding on to every experience, every emotion, every relationship as if it were a permanent possession. This clinging, this intense attachment, upadana, to what is inherently impermanent, anicca, is the root of our suffering. When we try to hold on to joy, it slips away, leaving disappointment. When we resist sorrow, it intensifies. When we define ourselves by what we have or what others think of us, we become vulnerable to every shift in the external world. Our sense of self becomes fragile, constantly at the mercy of conditions outside our control. From a Buddhist perspective, our very nature is flow. The same breath that fills your lungs passes through trees, oceans, and stars. The energy that animates you is part of the vast, interconnected web of existence. We are, in essence, an expression of the universe designed to experience, to learn, to contribute, and then to let go. Our true value lies not in what we can accumulate and keep, but in what we allow to pass through us. Our capacity for compassion, for wisdom, for connection is not something we own, but something we channel. Consider the great spiritual masters, including the Buddha himself. Their enlightenment wasn't about building a massive fortress of knowledge or accumulating followers. It was about dismantling the illusion of a separate, permanent self, a rigid container. It was about recognizing the empty nature of self, anatta, not as a void, but as an openness, a boundless awareness through which life could flow without obstruction. They understood that to truly experience joy, you must allow it to pass through you, not cling to it. To truly understand suffering, you must allow yourself to feel it fully, without resistance, recognizing its impermanent nature and the lessons it carries. When we try to make our lives static, to fill every space, to hold on to every moment, we create stagnation. The very source of peace becomes blocked. The emptiness we perceive is often just the universe reminding us, you are not a rigid form, you are a dynamic process. You are not a solitary well, you are a vibrant current. This insight offers profound liberation. It frees us from the exhausting burden of constantly striving to be enough, or to have enough. It dissolves the false notion of self, atta, as a fixed entity that needs endless validation and external inputs to feel complete. Instead, it invites us to trust the unseen source, the deeper wellspring of life and consciousness that is always flowing. It tells us that our purpose isn't to be filled, but to be a living, breathing channel for love, wisdom, and compassion to move through us, nourishing not just ourselves, but the world around us. In letting go of what we thought the well should be, we discover its profound and far more expansive purpose. Our emptiness, then, is not a flaw, it is a design for flow. The monk's wisdom, like water finally finding its true path, began to reshape Thomas's understanding. He stopped trying to fill the well, to force it to be something it wasn't. The relentless digging ceased. The futile attempts to line it with clay, to seal it against a perceived flaw, were abandoned. Instead, he began to observe, truly observe, for the first time. He cleared the debris that had accumulated around the well's opening, recognizing that the obstruction wasn't in the well itself, but in his misperception, avidya, of its purpose. He saw how water, released from an underground spring he had never bothered to fully trace, subtly entered the conduit and flowed away, nourishing the distant river that fed the entire valley. In letting go of what he thought the well should be, a symbol of personal abundance and permanence, he discovered its profound, interconnected purpose. Its value wasn't in its stillness, but in its dynamic role within a larger ecosystem. The emptiness he had so feared was, in fact, the essential condition for its true function. This is the profound call to transformation that Buddhist wisdom offers each of us, especially in a world that constantly pressures us to be full and fixed. What are you, like Thomas, desperately trying to fill that was never meant to be a container? What emptiness are you fighting within yourself? A perceived lack of connection, an absence of external validation, a persistent feeling of not being enough. That might actually be an invitation to flow. We are taught to accumulate, to grasp, to define ourselves by what we possess. This leads to attachment, upadana, not just to material things, but to ideas of who we should be, how our lives should look, and what others should think of us. This clinging is the source of endless suffering, dukkha, because everything we cling to is, by its very nature, impermanent and anicca. Relationships change, successes fade, our physical bodies age. To try and hold these fleeting moments and external validations permanently is to fight against the fundamental current of existence. The journey of spiritual awakening, mirrored in Thomas's transformation, is about recognizing that your deepest self, your inherent worth, doesn't reside in accumulation, but in your capacity to be a conduit. You are not meant to be a stagnant pond, but a vibrant river. Your being is not defined by what you hold, but by what you allow to pass through you. This includes emotions. Instead of clinging to joy or resisting sorrow, allow them to flow through you, observing them without judgment. This is the essence of mindfulness, understanding that even the most intense feelings are like weather patterns in the vast sky of your awareness. Experiences, every moment, every interaction, every challenge is a passing phenomenon. To learn and grow, we must engage fully, but then release our attachment to the outcome or the feeling, making space for the next moment. Identity, the concept of a fixed, permanent self, atta, is challenged in Buddhism by the principle of no self, anatta. This isn't about annihilation, but about realizing that you are a dynamic process, an ever-changing flow of experience, consciousness, and connection, not a static entity that needs constant external reinforcement. Your true power lies in this boundless, fluid nature. This shift in perspective is incredibly liberating. It dissolves the exhausting burden of constantly striving to be enough or to have enough. It means that when you feel lonely, you don't desperately seek external validation to fill the void. Instead, you recognize that the silence might be clearing a channel for deeper self-connection. When you experience loss, you see it not as a deprivation, but as the universe rearranging its currents, making space for new flow. The profound peace the Buddha found under the Bodhi tree wasn't about acquiring enlightenment. It was about recognizing that it was always there, obscured by attachment and misperception. He embraced the flow of his own consciousness, transcending the illusion of a separate self trying to fill its own perceived emptiness. He didn't become awakened, he realized he already was awake by clearing the internal conduits. So when you feel that familiar ache, that sensation of inadequacy, pause. Don't instinctively reach for another bucket to fill a perceived void. Instead, ask yourself, am I trying to hold what is meant to flow? Can I trust the unseen source of life and wisdom that is always present? Because when you embrace your nature as a conduit, not a container, the loneliness transforms. It becomes the very space where the universe flows through you, connecting you to all of life always. You were never meant to be a stagnant well, you were always a flowing river. And in that flow, you are always truly full. This isn't just a metaphor for understanding, it's a powerful invitation to live. The sun dipped below the hills, casting long, peaceful shadows across Thomas's farm. The empty well, once a monument to his perceived failure, now stood as a quiet testament to a profound realization. He no longer saw a void to be desperately filled, but an opening, a passageway for something far greater than he could ever contain. He had shed the heavy burden of misperception, avidya, that had defined his years of striving. The very thing he believed symbolized his lack now symbolized his deepest connection to the vast, unseen currents of life. This transformation, this shift in perspective, is the quiet miracle that Buddhist wisdom offers to each of us. We are so often trapped in the relentless pursuit of fullness, convinced that happiness is a destination we reach by acquiring, achieving, and holding on to things. We equate our worth with what we possess, how many people notice us, or how perfectly our lives align with external expectations. But the pervasive ache of suffering, dukkha, that persistent sense of not enough, is the universe's gentle yet insistent reminder that we are designed for something else entirely. Consider your own moments of quiet despair, those times when the phone stays silent, when accomplishments feel hollow, when you feel unseen or disconnected. Your first instinct, like Thomas's, might be to panic, to scramble for a distraction, to desperately seek external validation to fill that perceived emptiness. But what if, in those very moments, you paused? What if you took a deep, conscious breath, and instead of chasing another bucket to fill a perceived void, you asked yourself, am I trying to hold what is meant to flow? This simple question can be a gateway to profound liberation. It challenges the fundamental attachment, upadana, we have to the idea of a fixed, separate self, atta, that needs constant external input to be worthy. It invites you to recognize that your true nature is not a static container that needs to be filled, but a dynamic, ever-changing conduit for the boundless energy of life. Think of it. The most majestic river doesn't try to hold all the water within itself. It allows the water to flow freely, nourishing everything in its path. A tree doesn't cling to its leaves. It releases them in autumn, trusting the cycle of impermanence, anicca, to bring new growth in spring. Similarly, your joy, your sorrow, your experiences, your very sense of self, they are all part of an exquisite, ceaseless flow. Trying to grasp them, trying to make them permanent, only creates resistance and ultimately suffering. When you embrace your nature as a conduit, not a container, something truly sacred happens. The loneliness transforms. It becomes the very space where the vast, interconnected universe flows through you, connecting you to all of life, always. The silence is no longer an absence, but a presence, a space for deep truth to emerge. The sense of not being enough dissolves, replaced by the profound realization that your inherent worth is not negotiable. You don't need to be seen to shine. You don't need to be loved by others to love yourself. You don't need to be heard to have a voice. The most powerful presence is the one that does not demand attention, because it has already found peace in its own being. You were never broken because you felt empty. That emptiness itself was a teacher, a catalyst for awakening. It was clearing the surface, allowing you to finally see what has been there all along, your own vast, luminous inner self. The universe doesn't create extras. You are not just a background character in someone else's story. You are the sacred unfolding of life itself, just as worthy, just as important, just as radiant as every star in the sky. So the next time you feel like no one cares, like the world is distant, pause for a moment. Sit quietly and breathe. Place your hand softly on your heart and remind yourself, this moment will pass. This feeling is not the truth of who I am. I am part of something vast, something alive, something beautiful. And I belong. And when you rise from that stillness, rise gently. Walk slowly. Speak softly. Carry with you the quiet strength that comes not from being surrounded by people, but from finally remembering who you truly are. You are not alone. You never were. You had simply forgotten to look within, to trust the flow, to recognize the profound purpose of your own being. This is not the end of your story. This is the beginning of your awakening. If this journey into the wisdom of the farmer's empty well resonated with you, share your reflections in the comments below. How does this idea of being a conduit, not a container, shift your perspective? And for more journeys into ancient parables that illuminate modern struggles, subscribe to our channel and join our community of seekers. And so, we come to the quiet truth at the heart of our journey. The farmer, once burdened by his empty well, finally understood its true purpose. He ceased his relentless digging, his desperate attempts to fill what was never meant to be contained. He simply opened to the flow, aligning himself with the natural current that had always been there, waiting patiently to be recognized. In letting go of his attachment, upadana, to a false idea of fullness, he found a far deeper, more expansive connection to the very source of life. This, perhaps, is the most profound lesson the Buddha offered. The path to peace isn't found by relentlessly chasing external conditions, or by desperately trying to fill a perceived void within. It lies in understanding the true nature of ourselves and the world around us. It is the realization that suffering, dukkha, arises not from external circumstances, but from our clinging to what is impermanent, anicca, from our misperception, avidya, of who we are and what brings true contentment. You see, you were never truly broken because you felt lost or alone. That very feeling, that ache of emptiness, was not a sign of your inadequacy. Instead, it was an invitation, a sacred knock from within, guiding you back to a truth often obscured by the noise and demands of the world. It was clearing a path for you to recognize that your inherent worth, your capacity for boundless compassion, karu, and your deep connection to all existence already reside within you. You are not a solitary well meant to be filled. You are a vibrant conduit, designed for the boundless flow of life itself. This wisdom invites us to let go, nirodha, to release the grip of needing things to be different, to release the burden of external validation, to release the endless striving that only perpetuates dissatisfaction. It's a call to return to yourself, to the quiet stillness where you can finally hear the subtle rhythm of your own heart, the gentle flow of your breath. In that stillness, you realize you are already whole. You are already enough. You are, and always have been, deeply connected to everything. The peace you seek is not a distant prize. It is the inherent state of your being, patiently waiting to be rediscovered beneath the layers of expectation and clinging. It's the quiet strength that arises when you stop trying to get peace and start allowing yourself to be peace. This journey back to peace isn't about grand gestures or dramatic pronouncements. It's about subtle shifts in perception, quiet moments of reflection, and the courageous practice of letting go. It's about remembering that even in the deepest silence, even when the world feels distant, you are still seen, still connected, still held by something far greater than words can describe. And in that understanding, you are truly, profoundly home. Share your awakening. We'd love to hear your thoughts on this journey. What resonates most with you from the story of the farmer and his empty well? Have you ever experienced a moment of profound realization or awakening that shifted your perspective on life? Share it with us in the comments below. Are there other Buddhist parables or metaphors you'd like us to explore in future videos on Buddha's pathway? Let us know. Your insights enrich our shared path. Thank you for joining us on Buddha's pathway.